Okay, I'm back. Importing and exporting data. The load data in file. Um, Probably the easiest way to load data. It's fairly straightforward. If you give it this command, it basically expects a tab delimited text file, which is a common way of sending data. If you want to use a different format, like comma separated values is another very common one, and you can generally create either a tab delimited file or a CSV file from an Excel worksheet, and load it pretty easily. If you're using a different delimiter, let's go down here, look at it here. This here goes into some additional optional parameters, which honestly I don't very often use. I'm usually using a simple load file command, where I might change the tab to a terminated by a particular string. So this is where you would put in the comma. It's a comma separated values file. And you typically would also want to further enclose your character fields with double quotes. That's typically the way a CSV file goes. And the reason for that is that there may actually be a comma in the text of the column. So the way to avoid it splitting that column out, like last name comma first, if you further enclose it by the string character, the double quote, then you are in good shape. You can also put escape characters in there if you want. Usually not necessary. But terminated by and enclosed by I do typically use. This would be this example here would probably be a pretty typical command to import a CSV file that you created in Excel. And so that's typically a pretty good way. Any questions on importing data? Kind of an important topic. I mean, if you're doing application stuff, you'll need to import data from text files into your database. Bulk loading of data. Probably the easiest way to get into a file is to do a select into out file, as was mentioned earlier. It's the simplest way. You just say select star into the file name, and it will dump all of it in a tab delimited format, which would be the default. Tab delimited formats are fine as well. You also have some commands for importing and exporting that can be done on the command line or in a script, a shell script, for example. So these commands, import and export, or dump rather, are commonly used when you're scheduling the extract of the data. The dump command especially is used very frequently in creating backup files. So that you see that used a lot there. Any questions on the importing and exporting? Now you gave me this question earlier. What is the rule of thumb for avoiding locking users? On the dump command, I don't think the dump command really should lock because it's only doing reads. It's only doing reads, so it shouldn't really lock the tables. That being said, MySQL dump is usually associated with backups that take place in the middle of the night, so it's unlikely you would lock anyone out anyway. So, I mean, that's basically what you do, is you script it and you schedule it to run in the middle of the night. Okay, some more examples here. Oh, these are variables. User variables. Not a real important concept. Variables will be used more when we get into programming later on, and not so important right now. Can't trust everything on Google. Did someone on Google say something different? I would look at the website. Yes, they did. What did they say? I would look at the website it's coming from. If it's coming from, Oracle or MySQL's website, they're probably right, and I'm probably wrong. I mean, I have to admit, I'm more of a developer than a DBA. But I've never had any issues with locking on the MySQL dump command. Um, yeah, and like I said, if you're running it in the middle of the night, which is usually when you'd be running it as part of your backup, um, you're probably not going to have a problem. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Okay, and that was about it for that. Um, questions? And questions? Specific questions? How are people doing with the labs? Would it be productive for me to set up another Thursday lab? Is that a good time for people to go? Where you can come in person if you and I'll be there. I can set that up. Um, when is the midterm? The midterm is on March 14th. 2 weeks from today. Actually, that's not true, is it? Because this is a leap year. It actually be the 13th. I need to double check that. I will also be on Messenger for people that can't come to the lab in person. And it's not required. The labs are more of, if you want to come, you can. It's not required. You can work totally on your own. You can instant message me in the lab, too, if you want to stay home. Um, but, well, I know I've got a lab set up already for the 24th of March. We might want to have one earlier. So let me know. No, the midterm is not March 12th. Right now, the midterm is scheduled. Oh, I see right here. I'll have to look at my calendar. I think this is actually supposed to be the 13th. Lab 5. Oh, all right, yeah, on the same day. Why don't I push this out a week? I'll push Lab 5 out a week. I'll have to look at your lab and see what comment I gave you. So I don't want to do that online. Um, Message me after I end the webinar. Excuse me. Yeah, I'll change the date on that. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'm going to end the webinar. I will stay online. The midterm, 90 minutes from when you start. You can do it any time on the 13th. Yes, I allow a late lab. Don't worry about it, Daniel. The midterm will be done through web access. So if you haven't used it yet, get used to it. Get online and get used to it. All right. It looks like people are just asking random questions now. So I'll end the webinar. I'll stay online, but I'm going to end the webinar. And so you can continue to ask questions.